river clean. I beg you, please keep the river clean. No more trash in the water, keep the river clean. Let we preserve for the future, keep the river clean. Hey, the time to act is now. So what we gonna do? We are the guardians of the river. Let we start anew. Pollution ain't no joke. Let we fix what we broke, so we can bust a river line again. Pumping from chemicals, no we not in that. Washing cars up the stream, no we not in that. Let's clean up pollution. We have a solution. Make Soufriere the envy of the nation. I tell you, please keep the river clean. I beg you, please keep the river clean. No more trash in the water. Keep the river clean. Let we preserve for the future. Keep the river clean. Hey, tell your neighbor, tell a friend, can't let it continue again. It's our responsibility, protect the environment. A healthy river is healthy you. And Mother Nature calling out to you. I tell you, sand mining river beds, no we not in that. Ross who wage in the streets, no we not in that. Let's clean up pollution. We have a solution. Make Soufriere the envy of the nation.
Good morning, Soufriere, and welcome to the second episode of our Flowing Clean show, where we talk all about the new project, Flowing Clean. My name is Sonia Kazobo, and I am your host for the next half hour. Today, we have with us in studio our guest representing the Soufriere Regional Development Foundation, Mr. Cyril Saltibus, and we will be discussing the role that the Soufriere Foundation is playing in implementing this project and as a co-funder. Welcome, Mr. Saltibus.
Welcome, welcome. Should I just say welcome?
You should say thank you.
I have the hosting shows, so it's kind of difficult for me to be sitting on the other end.
Well, now you feel.
For having SRDF and myself in studio with you, and thanks to the station, thanks to the staff for having us.
Definitely.
This morning. Happy to be here.
Thank you for coming. So today we will be having just a back and forth discussion between myself and Mr. Saltibus to give you, the listeners, some more information about this Flowing Clean project, what has been done in the past couple of weeks. And then we will be opening the lines for the last 10 minutes for your questions, your comments, and you can also message us on Facebook and you can call in. The numbers are 459-7885, 730-5388. 459-7888. So, welcome again, Mr. Saltibus. Let's talk a little bit about why the foundation decided to partner with Waterways and co-fund this project.
Well, it's not about why we're partnering or why we're co-funding. Or, is the fact is it's the mission of the SRDF to be involved in everything that is happening in Soufriere, to foster economic, cultural, and social development in Soufriere, and that fits right into our mandate. When you approached us, I think it was a natural partnership, and it was just a natural partnership. I think we didn't hesitate to say yes to a project like that. It fits within our framework of things we do, and most importantly is the getting people out, getting children out to understand the importance of nurturing the river and protecting the environment. So when you all sold that to us, I must admit, all HODs, everybody gravitated to it because it's something good. It's something that will improve our livelihoods. It's something that the livelihoods of both the fishermen, the agriculturists, the home users, and just the basic health of the entire community concerns us. So we're happy to jump on board.
Definitely. I must say that when we proposed this idea to the Soufriere Foundation, they came on board very, very readily. This project, as you may not know, has been a few years in the making. And like I explained in the last show, it started out with us doing a pilot project in the Ravenclay area. And even then we received extensive support from the Soufriere Foundation. Then we had a planning meeting, if you can put it that way, a symposium that was held at the Beacon in Soufriere. And Mr. Romulus was present and helped facilitate that meeting. We had some of the foundation's board members as well as staff present, and the foundation was integral in helping us craft and shape this project, this Flowing Clean project. And at that meeting in 2023, the participants proposed that the foundation be the chair of the Soufriere River Management Committee, and you sit in that position right now representing the foundation. So let's talk a little bit about the Soufriere River Management Committee and how that committee is supposed to assist waterways in implementing this project. As the chair of the Soufriere River Management Committee, how do you see your role in terms of the level of assistance that you're currently providing with us? And just explain to the listeners what role that the foundation has played in terms of office and financial support, etc.
Well, we've been providing support from the initial stages. We opened up our boardroom for all meetings. We are advancing some of the funds needed, because sometimes funding takes time to reach a country. So we've been doing that to facilitate the growth of the project. But just because of our past collaboration with the PMA, the Soufriere Marine Management, the police, because that we already have that umbrella attitude in Soufriere of working with all the other agencies, I think it was a natural, progression into us. Not just, I don't think we were volunteered. I think it was thrown on us, and we happily accepted.
You volunteered.
We happily accepted.
The foundation.
Yes, but we're happy to do that because what do we do in Soufriere? We manage the Sulphur Springs, we manage the port, which is very important, and we also very much involved in beautifying Soufriere. So waterways and the project that is gonna give birth to falls just right into our alley. So it was just natural for us to want to chair that committee. But most importantly, it's you, of course. I don't think you don't talk about you a lot. You've been very integral in all this, and we've been begging you to jump on our staff payroll, and you've not done that yet. Because you bring a lot of your consultative knowledge to projects like that. Your knowledge of Soufriere, the history of what happens is very important. So it's nice to be working with you, and and just to tell the public, we go way back into doing things from cadets, where we just always involved in cleanups and disaster preparedness and doing. So it's a natural progression to be involved in those things, and we're happy to be on board. We're happy to be spearheading. We are co-funders of the project. I think our initial is what? Is it 60,000? But when you look at the time we put into it, our use of our office, our equipment and everything, it's just gonna,
Yes,
I'm not gonna say it's gonna bust our budget, but it's gonna allow us to do what we do naturally to serve our community.
Yes, and I want to say thank you very much on behalf of Waterways, because Waterways is a very small organization. There's just two of us on island, and we work from home. So the foundation readily offered up a cubicle and office space so that we can operate out of and serve as a secretariat for the Flowing Clean project and hopefully beyond. And we have been utilizing the foundation's boardroom, as you mentioned, for our meetings and the services that and the technical expertise of the staff as well. So quite a number of the foundation's staff sit on some of the subcommittees that the main Soufriere River Management Committee oversees. So as a chair, the foundation is critical in monitoring or evaluating the project implementation and ensuring that we follow the implementation guide, we follow our budget, our timeline, etc., so that we can successfully complete the project by the expected end date. And we do not have in this project the option for extending, because the project must end. There's a hard end stop for the funding that we're receiving of December 2026. So we are pushing full steam ahead, and that brings me into giving you, the Soufriere listeners and those who are listening over the airways, over the online, an update as to what has happened in the past couple of weeks. So I will start first by letting everybody know that we have started, in fact, ongoing this week for the next 6 days. We have an 8-day drone pilot and participatory mapping training session that is going on in Soufriere. We have two very well qualified experts who are conducting this drone pilot training, and the majority of the participants have never flown a drone before. And as of yesterday, everybody got to fly a drone for the very first time and learn the very basics. So
except me.
Oh, well, I know you have done the drone course in the past. But we will be, today, for instance, they're taking a little bit further and learning, becoming more familiar with the controls and navigating a simple obstacle course. We will continue with maneuvers with the drone, looking at the settings and the capabilities of the drones. And there's an exam that all participants will be taking at the end of the training session next week, Monday. And that's, is that a poll? And the drone, if everybody passes, well, you need to pass the exam for us to become certified drone pilots, and that certification we'll be receiving is recognized internationally. It's via US NIST, National Institute of Safety, Civil Aviation, I think. So we had a very fun day yesterday, getting lift off for the first time, and we're continuing with the participatory mapping. So the functionalities of the drones, I mean, I have been a certified drone pilot since 2018, so I knew what the drones are capable of. But seeing the advancements in drones over the past less than 5 years, it's an amazing thing to behold, and seeing what the capabilities are for what we're planning on doing. We are planning on using those drones for us to map all the rivers. There's no map that exists right now that can show you where all the rivers and ravines run through in Soufriere. So this is our intention. We are procuring a very sensitive drone, a drone that has capabilities to analyze leaf colors and find where there's water. So we will be able to map the entire of Soufriere watershed, so from Bouton all the way down to Assivouin, and for us to digitize that map so that we will now be able to say hey to anybody who is doing research at school, whether it be from primary, secondary, university level, researchers, scientists can then have a very accurate map that shows you the path of all our rivers. And we will be continuing the monitoring. So the team who is being trained from this training, we have a representative from the Soufriere Foundation, the Piton Management Area, SMMA, the Soufriere Police, and myself. We will be the team that will be responsible for monitoring. After we have done the map, we will continue annual monitoring. And of course, I'm going to be utilizing the capabilities of the drone, putting on my other hat temporarily as the vice chair of NEMO, so that after a disaster, we can quickly send the drone up and conduct a visual assessment of what has happened after any natural disaster in Soufriere, whether it be a landslide or flooding, anything. We can quickly make use of those capabilities as well. And I know you have done some of that already.
Yes, I have, but if you can just add to some of the other uses of the drone, for instance, for SRDF, people climb the pitons every day, and if we have somebody that is stuck up there, we can actually use the drone, make sure it doesn't go off signal, to monitor and advise the fire department or the rescue team. And there's a lot of things that you can do with drones, but it will be unwise of me not to tell our listening public of the ills of it also. And these days, the world is actually, putting an alarm out for drones and what drones can do. And that is why we are licensing people, to make sure that you can eliminate those licensed people, and if there's an investigation, who's using a drone illegally and stuff like that. So
definitely, because there are a list of protocols. I mean, before we even started, I was so busy last week getting all our documents out to the Civil Aviation Authority and SLASPA for us to get clearance for the training to even commence. We needed to get everybody's ID card information and send that up to SLASPA and to unlock the drones, because we do have a no-fly zone radius for Soufriere, because there is a registered helipad, an internationally recognized landing site at Anchasne, and by international law, there must be there must be some protocols that must be followed. So you cannot be flying a drone in an airspace where a helicopter is flying. So for us, we ensure that we follow all the regulations that are put forward. In fact, our very first session yesterday, we had a discussion on the legislation and the requirements that are there, and already we proposed some recommendations that need to happen for the ongoing consultations that are happening between civil aviation / and the police. So we are pioneering in a little way the development or the advancement of drone legislation in St. Lucia as well. You cannot just take a drone and go and fly in Barbados, for instance. Barbados, if you're entering the island with a drone and you don't declare it, they will seize that drone once they find it. You cannot lift off a drone without contacting air traffic control in Barbados. If you do so, it will be jammed and they will seize your drone. So we have very lax legislations in St. Lucia that have been to our detriment, and we need to start putting those protocols in place. There's nothing wrong with somebody flying a drone for videography, but you need to know that you have to operate in a safe space. I know Grenada had for I think it was independence celebrations, some drones that lost control from they lost control and somebody got injured. I mean, the propeller blades cut off.
We've had a few for jazz festival in Castries where a drone hit somebody in the face. So we do have to. But Nadia, don't you think we should use this waterways project and the drone training to write a paper, and that will be presented to cabinet so we can adjust the laws? I mean, it's all dependent on people like us to do that.
We had a discussion yesterday, so some recommendations were already made that I will be putting in my report, and the persons who are doing the training, they already had some ideas that they want the police to take up through their ranks, because the police right now I think is only 3 organizations that are involved in drafting or crafting those policies and legislation. And like I mentioned, there are other we as operators can see what needs to happen, and looking at what happens in other countries. I mean, having the experience of flying in the US or flying in other countries, you see what their regulations are, and you can compare it to what we're trying to craft.
But I'm saying that because when I did my drone training, our instructor did tell us through National Trust, hey, let's get the legislation done. Yes, and I don't think we did. So I'm saying in Soufriere we get things done right. So let's make sure we use that as a catalyst to actually, get those things done.
I agree. So, we can push for it on our end. So I will definitely take that into consideration.
Yeah.
I have a question. What are the difficulties you face on a daily basis when trying to reach your goal of cleaning? I don't think that's for us. For cleaning the river. Okay.
What was the question again?
What are the difficulties you face on a daily basis when you are trying to reach your goal of cleaning?
People who dirty it. Let's start with that.
We have not launched the Adopter River component. Like I mentioned, we were a little bit delayed in receiving grant funding, so I am in the process of procuring a lot of what it is that we require for us to then start the process. So we have had one person who, and in fact a few persons have met me on the road or called me and indicated interest in forming groups, and which is what we are going to talk about a little bit later. For us to get the Adopter River component started, we want to have groups adopt sections of the river, and then we'll provide them with all the equipment, all the safety gear that we require for them to conduct the cleanups of their sections. And then once we get the cleanup done, it would require regular monitoring on their end and keeping an eye out. And if they see anybody dumping something illegally, they would know exactly what to do and how to report it, and for us to start getting the law enforced.
Yeah. Nana, you're right on point, but while we wait for that, I think a strong message should be sent to the residents. Don't throw things into the river. And let me give you an example. Yesterday, I was walking to my office, and there was this guy pinning an egg, throwing it right there on the floor. So I told him, hey, there's a bin just over there. He said, there are people being paid to clean. That's a negative. So we have to try and change that mindset.
That mentality needs to stop. We are abusing the workers at the Soufriere Constituency Council. That is not and should not be their primary responsibility. If you travel to any country in the Caribbean, The persons who are employed by the district councils, by the community councils, that is not their main responsibility. Their main responsibility is beautification and maintenance, not cleaning person's garbage. You take a St. Lucia who has a habit of littering in St. Lucia, and you put them in a country where the laws are stringent, they would know what to do. We need to stop that mentality in St. Lucia of we're giving the town council workers a job to do. If we do not throw it on the ground, they wouldn't have any work to do. That's nonsense. There's other things that they can be doing to help improve and beautify our community and not be wasting their time picking up garbage twice a day in Soufriere.
And we've been very lenient on the fines that can be imposed for littering in St. Lucia. I must admit, I can't blame anybody for it. Most of the people that do it, if you charge them, they might end up serving a little time because it's a high fine, And people don't, it's a very high fine for littering. But we do it because nobody's charged and nobody's arrested. So it's something we have to, I want to go back to the point you made. While we have not started that component, we need to educate people. And it's just not in Soufriere. We have to educate everybody because visitors come to our beautiful town. And we have to tell them, don't litter. Don't litter. Just keep our place clean. And I walk to the school sometimes and I cross the river and the amount of fridges sometimes in there and the stoves in there, batteries you see there. I remember as a boy, going to Robin Clare, collecting crayfish and stuff like that. Those rivers were clean. And now it's just, so yeah, we need to do something about it before we can activate that segment.
Yes, so we definitely need to get the word out, and we've already started going to the communities to educate them. So I already have links with most of the communities, so that once we're ready to get the groups off the ground, we would have an easy time getting persons to form those groups. So if you're interested, like I said last time, you can contact us, but we have not started actually getting the groups.
People are coming to our offices already.
Yes, I know. We had a young lady. Thank you very much for coming in and indicating your interest in joining part of the initiative. I want to now continue to just give you a little bit more information as to what else has happened in the past week. I met with the epidemiology cancer group. We have a survey that has gone out for pilot testing. A survey will be coming out pretty shortly in the next couple of weeks for persons in the community to answer questions on their own. We will also be having persons going out asking questions about your family history of cancer, the water that you use, what water sources that you have available to you, and some general environmental issues questions. So for people, once you would find some enumerators coming to your homes, knocking on your doors, asking to indulge them, to spend no more than half an hour with them to answer some questions for us to get a sense as to how prevalent cancer is and the water issues that we have in Soufriere. On that note as well, we are going to be doing, before the end of this month, collecting water samples and sending them out for testing. So by the end of August, early September, we will have a report on the water quality from the tap water springs, some springs, the river, from Assiniboine River all the way to the two rivers main rivers at Bouton. So we will be conducting those samplings, not next week, the week after, and then we will be sending those samples out for testing, and the results should be back in St. Lucia because it has to go to a lab in Canada, and the results will be back in St. Lucia by the end of August. But even on that, component, Mr. Saltibus, in having a discussion with the lab owner, the lab manager, he used to work at CARFO. We were having a discussion and we were looking at assisting them in getting the agriculture lab certified.
Yeah.
Because the agriculture lab in St. Lucia has the equipment for them to do some of the testing that we want done. And if they can get certified, then we can be doing the testing right here in St. Lucia at a much lower cost.
Right.
Because just one of these samples costs, for us to take one water sample to test for what we want in terms of heavy metals and pesticide contamination for organic compounds, it costs us about $300 per sample.
But who's certifying that?
So that's a discussion with the lab. So we were having a
Well, it's a deliberate question to find out, hey, if they can do the test and they can give us the results.
yeah. So the certification means that you're following quality controls protocols, that your machines are cleaned and maintained, your sensors are within the calibrated limits, etc. So it's the certification of a lab means that you're basically following standards and that your results will be replicated if the samples were sent to another lab.
I'm just being heaven's advocate here because sometimes, most of the times you want to get certified, you're trying to get certified in international, let's say American standards.
Not necessarily. I don't think that's
as opposed to us having our own good standards.
Regional standards, yes.
I'm just throwing that back because sometimes we are confined to doing things because we are trying to make sure we stay in line with other people's standards and not ours. I'll give you an example that has nothing to do with waterways. In working in the hotel industry, you say everything's American standard. You say, where did that come from? Where's the Caribbean standard of doing things? Which is also good. That's what I'm just pushing that,
Yes, I understand. I understand your point of view in that regard. But yes, so there are world standards. That's what's the ideal benchmark.
Accepted, yes, I understand.
Yes.
I understand.
So that if something happens and your samples are sent to another lab, that the results will be as close as possible and not have any way off values. We have another question from Sheldon. Did the river have any impact in the high water level in the town during the last bad weather? And what will be a corrective measure? Did the river have any impact in the high water level in Soufriere? The last high water issues that we had in Soufriere were from Beryl. And Beryl was a Category 5 hurricane that crossed over the islands over Grenada. And because of our location and the rotation of the storm and our bathymetry in Soufriere has the deepest harbor in the Eastern Caribbean. Any storm that crosses south of St. Vincent, once it enters the Caribbean Sea, is going to create storm surge for us in Soufriere. And the stronger the storm, the higher the water would reach. So the river did not have an impact on the flooding that happened in Soufriere for Berry. If you're talking about flooding due to heavy rainfall, most definitely, because the depth of the river, in my humble opinion, is not it's not deep enough to accommodate the volume of water that is coming down from our hillside. So the Soufriere River rises very quickly, and it floods at certain points because the banks are so low. We do not have any issue of a bridge causing obstruction, such would have a dam forming when you have all the debris coming down. But because of the height of the depth of the river, it would flood because it would not be able to accommodate all of the water that is coming down. So if we have a repeat of Debbie, for sure, the town is going to be flooded again.
I don't know if you don't have any other questions. I just have one for you. I remember during the initial stages, we did speak about the farmers who are actually farming too close to rivers. Are we doing something before we get to the actual management to have them, in other words, through government? Are we looking to relocate and to assist them in trying to get a better location? Because we don't want to cut anybody out of their livelihood, but how do we assist them in relocating, and is government involved and stuff like that?
Well,
trying to get them land?
Under this project, that's not within the scope of our project, Flowing Clean. But I do know that government of St. Lucia, through the IW Eco project and the upcoming ILM project, and there's another project that is happening through OECS, I believe. Those projects are, no, that was not through OECS, I forget what it's for, through forestry, Ms. Deborah Busher. They have done extensive work with some of the farmers to try to stabilize the slopes in the upper watershed. So they have worked with the farmers to encourage them to plant some tree crops that would provide them an income and not take away from the normal crop production. So if they're into dasheen, then they were given fruit trees that would line the perimeter of their property, so create a windbreak on the property so that they would not be inconvenienced in terms of producing what they're used to producing. Under this project, we are looking to work with the ILM projects to construct 5 additional biogas digesters for pig farmers. And even through our community consultations, we were made aware of a situation in Zeno that we have passed on that information to the Environmental Health Department for the authorities to take action. So for us, it is an issue of persons who know what they should and should not do. But in some instances, that's all the family land that they have available to them for them to earn a livelihood. So government of St. Lucia really needs to look into the location of our water catchments and what activities are happening in those areas directly impacting those water catchments, and to bite the bullet and decide if we want to safeguard people's health, if the water is found to be contaminated, that they will be prepared to say those persons who are engaged in some activities in those areas cannot continue and will need to be given or compensated for their property so that they can relocate. Because I will tell you, Soufriere, that when we tested some of the one spring in one of the communities in Soufriere a number of years ago under the previous project at Wavinclay, we found pesticide residue in the water, and some of those pesticides were banned since the 1980s, and a number of them are cancer-causing pesticides. They're known to cause cancer. So we are at a point now where some hard decisions must be taken. And this project is instrumental in conducting some of the research and testing that needs to be done so that the authorities would have the data and for them to then take action. That's the most that we can do as Waterways and the Foundation working together, is to get the research done and put it into the hands of the authorities, the policymakers, for them to take the required actions.
Good. I don't know. I hope people are listening because we want to hear from them.
Definitely.
But
the lines are open now.
Yeah. While we wait for a caller, I want to send a strong message to our SRDF staff. We happen to be chair of this whole process. We are co-founders of it, and what I want them to do is to get involved. Every staff member should be an ambassador. You know, the guys in our radio station. You know, every time we come online, let's send a strong message to the public that we need to protect our rivers, we need to get involved, we need to volunteer. And I think if we provide a few short clippings for them now and then, they can do that. But I would like to see sometimes, or maybe on Fridays, I hope we can convince Mr. OJ to do a nice little branded shirt for us going down the line. Or if on Fridays, every SRDF staff can dress down into a waterway kind of t-shirt to send a message, things like that, flowing clean, you know, and get into the schools, let our staff members visit the schools and give a little lecture. It's a lot of work for you. You can't do it alone. So I'm saying, let us be the ambassadors. I'm hoping the town council, the people who serve on the committee, is not just their name, but to actually do the work. I would like to see the mayor himself, you know, having a little session on the square with children, telling them about the importance of preserving the river. I would like to see the directors of all the other organizations involved, health, you know, the teachers, the principals, get involved. And maybe we can start celebrating Fridays, you know, into our whole big thing. Because I think we're the catalyst, right? We're the first one starting in St. Lucia.
We are piloting this.
And let us be the example for St. Lucia.
I already have several persons asking, when are we coming to the communities? Yeah. Because in having these discussions, in having the community consultations, or even attending workshops outside of Soufriere, I've been listening to people tell me how it used to be before, how they enjoyed going to the river, catching crayfish, swimming in the bassin, diving. And those are things that my generation, we got to experience just a little bit, but generations after us do not know about that. So we have to understand that we are dealing with a cross-section of the population in Soufriere, of the older folks who experienced it and they have taken it for granted. And they are the ones who cause the pollution, more so than my generation. We need to target them, for them to fix the river, so that my generation and those after can continue to benefit from the river. Because like I said last week, as the deputy chair of NEMO, What I do not want to happen is for us to get hit by a major earthquake that would disrupt the water supply, a heavy rainfall event. It doesn't even have to be a hurricane or a storm. A heavy rainfall event that is going to cause a problem for our water supply, and for people to then revert to using the Soufriere River.
Yeah.
And in the current condition of the Soufriere River, that is a big no.
Yeah.
We would be facing a health crisis.
Yeah. But moi quand tu dois face en créole into ça because on sait vie moun Soufriere, là sait moun c'est pas juste vie moun là moun qui comprendre créole seulement. Ouais. So ni pou vite dévier maintenant moun qui parler créole pour expliquer toute bagaille nous va faire by live here because ouais
nous supposé ça parler pour expliquer tout ça nous pour expliquer.
Moi ça si moi ça fait. Moi ça parle en créole mais moi ça parle créole mais à moun qui connaît langage la primaire pour venir expliquer toute bagaille pour ces monde qui aime créole yo because nous pour vendre commission by tout le monde.
Moi d'accord. Ça nous a dit c'est nous avons un projet qu'a fait pour nous nettoyer la rivière. Et nous besoin toutes gens Soufriere pour aider nous pour faire ça pour nous nettoyer la rivière. Et là nous nettoyer la rivière pour tout le monde commencer à garder la rivière. Si vous avez personne qui a fait rien qui a détruit la rivière, pour vous ça, prier n'importe monde pour vous ça mener si c'est police ou si c'est environmental health ou si c'est solid waste pour joindre monde ça là et pour faire monde ça payer pour nettoyer. Nous besoin la rivière.
Yep, we do. But even that, I realize the problem of throwing things into the river is a problem of we not servicing our community. Right, and we need to service our community because if we have a good garbage collection system, if we have a good disposal system, then that will not happen. Because I walk by there sometimes, and I know you have the kids who just sling it across because it's easier. But maybe we can develop garbage bins along so they don't do it. So there's a lot of work to be done. So for us to protect our environment.
Yeah, so I sort of agree with you and I, but I disagree on a point. We have a sufficient garbage collection system in Soufriere. We have garbage collection that happens twice a week. In all parts of Soufriere. The
solid waste is a problem.
And we also have a bulk waste pickup, which is once a month.
Yeah,
but Soufriere residents, and not just Soufriere, persons in general around St. Lucia, they do not want to wait until the day of pickup for them to put it out on the day that they're supposed to. So I know where I live in Town Extension. I have seen by the river persons putting couches, fridges, you name it, at the side of the river, and then some troublesome young persons would then just decide out of sheer boredom or something, push it into the river.
But people ask, because I work at SRDF and I'm the manager there, people ask me those questions. I don't have the answers. So educate me a little bit because there's a big red skip at the entrance of the Sulphur Springs. Do you have to bring this stuff up there or is it collected by you? I'm talking about the solid waste, the fridges,
I'm not
stuff
sure.
Like that.
Well, that big red skip, I know on the day of the bulk waste pickup, which is once a month in Soufriere, that the truck goes around collecting around the town and then they put it into that big red skip. But I know I have seen persons who on their own would, if they have vehicle and manpower, take their bulk waste and put it into the skip already.
Oh, I understand.
But that is the collection point for the day of. I'm not sure if they're allowing persons, and I don't think that they should be allowing persons because I hope you're bringing a breeding point for mosquitoes. Yep. So far, we have not received any calls, and I would like to encourage Soufriere people to call in with your questions, call in with any comments, any feedback on our project, how it is going to affect you. If you want to know when I'm coming to your community, you can give us a call and for us to have a frank discussion.
I know school's out. We're on holiday. And I mentioned to you, I think sometime last week, that I would like when school, reopens and you on, that you convince all principals to take a break and have the children listen to your program. I know you go to the schools, we all go to the schools, but somehow it's a nice thing for them to just talk what they're doing when you online and have them call, have them interact, have them, we need to get the children involved. You and I are cooked up and our years on this earth, it's almost, it's creeping up on us. It's the young ones we have to convince to protect the environment. And if we don't reach them, it's kind of hard thing. So I know your program is a wonderful program. I listen to it when I'm in my office. but I want the children involved, and I'm hoping that our SRDF can get some good equipment that you can go on site, go into the schools and have a program. You know, go Sulphur Springs, sit there and have a program when in the peak of the tourist season, because they don't mind. They also litter, you know, our guests that come. So you have to educate everybody. A little brochure when you enter our port that says "Keep our Soufriere clean." So those little things.
Now,
Every
part
little
of this
thing.
project would be for us to go into the schools. So all the principals are already aware of our project, and they have all invited me to come in and restart the environmental clubs in the schools where the clubs have gone dormant. And that is my intention coming September for us to get that done. But I take your point that we would want to see maybe have a program where it is geared towards just the children, and then to get through the DU's office permission for the schools to stop what they're doing and for all classes to tune in. And if there's any children who have questions, give them opportunity for them to call in to the program. And while I do agree that we need to continually educate all levels and including the children, I am somebody I've been in this game for a number of years, over 20 years now. And the misconception is that for us to effect change, we need to educate the children. No. The children are impressionable up to a certain level, which is, in my view, maybe grade 2. Thereafter, anything that they see in the community, at their homes, takes precedence. So whilst the teacher might be able to tell them in kindergarten, grade 1, preschool, don't litter, and they will parrot it and they will tell you don't litter, and they can see that it is wrong, what they see at home takes precedence by the time they get to primary school. So if you just look around, and the hotels had a competition, the cleanest school competition, going around, the infant school is generally cleaner than the upper level, the primary school, and even at the secondary school level, just walking up to the school before they did the cleanup, it was a mess. So for us, we also need to place a lot of emphasis on the adults, because the biggest polluters are not the children, it's the adults.
Do you see SRDF or another organization using and I'm sorry for doing that, I'm asking you a question, so using the river when it is, 2 years from now when we have a clean river, have, let's say, a upriver excursion with tourists?
That's the whole point, Mr. Saltibus. When we first did that pilot at Wavincliffe, and I had my first round of consultations, you know what the residents told me? Miss, we want our river to be clean for us to hold river lines in Wavincliffe. Adi had already established his Saturday pork sessions, but they wanted as a community to host regular river lines and make that into an activity where the community can benefit economically, where people will be able to come, enjoy a river, experience a bassin, buy food, buy some drinks, and go back home satisfied that, I've been to a river line, I've been to a waterfall. Because Wavincliffe has 2 waterfalls, So they want to develop the community to the point where, not just for Soufriere people, but also to open it out to tourists as well. And that is my whole thrust for doing this. I mean, like I said last week, my grandma told me about diving into a bassin. I keep repeating that because it's so strange to me, diving into a bassin behind the Soufriere hospital. Number one, the depth. For you to take a head shoot, the water must be deep enough that you not hit your head. So can you imagine how deep the river was at that point? So you can take a head shoot off of the river wall behind the hospital into a bassin, and for the water to be clean enough that they were able to go and catch crayfish there and hold wash their clothes and hold a river line basically in that area. We have lost that and we want to bring that back. So Soufriere people, I need you to work with us, with Waterways, with the foundation, with all those who are on our committees. Work with us for us to clean up all the rivers and the tributaries, the ravines of the Soufriere River system, from Fonjolip all the way up to Bouton. And we can be the gold standard, set the example. Let Soufriere be the envy, as Arthur said in the song, of the nation in getting our river clean.
And I want all our staff members to be ambassadors. I can't stop repeating that. Every staff member must be an ambassador because we put our funds into it.
Definitely.
And we're the chair of the committee. So let us make sure we lead by example.
And when you have your department meetings, I mean, you can call me. I will happily go to your department meetings for me to talk about the project and to educate them on what the project entails.
We are having a big general meeting of all staff pretty soon. I would like to invite you to our place for 10 minutes just to tell them about that. Our heads of department meeting was yesterday. I think we have to push it back for somebody at the next one. If you have the time, it'd be nice for you to address the department heads and tell them what the importance of themselves being the chief ambassadors, in this project, so.
And I would like to commend Hotel Shokula has already, from the community consultation that we had with the hotel sector, they came in and they in fact were the ones who asked me whether I would be willing to come to speak to their staff when they were having their staff meeting. So I'm just waiting on word from them, and I would like to open it out to all other businesses. If you want me to come in to speak to your staff for a few minutes, 10-15 minutes about our Flowing Clean project and how you can help us, how you can play your part, I am open to doing that as well.
And that song, I love it. Huh? And I remember telling you that I would like the kids to a little competition once a month for a karaoke version of that song with the primary school or secondary school students, because if they start singing it, they start to live in it. Yeah, so we need to do that.
So we are coming up. In fact, we have gone past our 10.5 hour. I would like to say thank you once again to Mr. Saltibus, and let me offer you any closing words.
I would repeat the very same thing I said a while ago. I just know that, to spearhead something is to be the chief ambassador for it. And to know that our staff and our HODs are not into it, it is not good at all. So I want to encourage every head of department, every staff member, get involved, spread the word. We have the information in our office. What I think I will do is to put it in, get a synopsis of the whole thing, because you give us this jump drive with a lot of information on it. So what I'm going to do is to, get it into small bites and share it with them, so then they can share it in the different, in the different groups, so people are quite aware of what is going on. And a cleaner Soufriere, a cleaner river means more income for us, because we depend on tourism. We have to get that right. Tourism is the mainstay of our economy. And you can only do it through a very clean environment, which includes the river. River is life. Water is life. And we have no choice. So thanks again for inviting me.
Thank you for coming on board. And I would just like to end by saying that our charter is pretty much complete, and we will be launching the charter in the very first week of August. We are looking at maybe Emancipation Day or the first Sunday in August, which will be August 3rd, for us to have a day for us to have a signing day for the charter. So this has been our Flowing Clean program for today, Tuesday, the 15th of July. I want to say thank you to all those who tuned in, and let us play our part to keep the Soufriere River clean.